I've got a theory. There's a kind of saying that says the same man never steps in the same river twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of apply that to movies.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ghosts and ghoulies and goblins and whatnot. Welcome to another episode of the Scary Movie Project. I am your host, Matt, and today we're going to revisit an Arctic wasteland, but in a kind of a different way. We're talking about a wonderful soon-to-be documentary called The Thing Expanded. Yes. And I am joined by a very special guest today by the founder and CEO himself of Creator VC. Robin Block is here. Robin, thank you for coming on today. And you are the genius behind this wonderful documentary. And I'll also notice Creator VC. I'll mention this. I hope everyone out there has seen In Search of Darkness, which is an incredible look at 80s horror films. There are 3 parts of them and a total of, 15 hours of horror. And now we've got 90s In Search of 90s horror coming out. Yeah. We have the Aliens Expanded coming out.
This is 4 years of my life.
Yes,
this 15-hour
yes.
runtime.
I can sit in front of that screen and watch this stuff forever. So, Robin, thank you for coming on this program. Really, I want tell everyone out there. I just gave a mouthful. Tell us about what you do. What is Creator VC? What is this thing expanded? Tell us what you got going on here. This is awesome.
Okay, so Creator VC, I started Creator VC. It'll be 6 years ago in May.
Okay.
It's been the most incredible journey. We're a wonderful team of really passionate filmmakers that love writing love letters to movies.
There you go. I love that term, writing a love. Yes, yes.
So our tagline at Creator VC is fandom with purpose. And so we recognize that fandom is an energy, and when you love something like movies, like horror,
yeah,
that there's a spiritual element to that. And what we want to do is take that energy and turn it into things you can hold, things that matter to you. And we're really different to most production companies that work with a studio or they work with a platform. We work with our backers, and our relationship with our backer base is really intimate. Typically when we do a project, we're making it for between 5 or 15,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So our raison d'etre, our special secret sauce is that we deliver for a niche audience, but we deliver a premium experience. We try to. So no other studio would ever come along and deliver a 5-hour documentary on 80s horror movies, let alone do it 3 times. Okay? But there was an unmet need.
Yes.
And that's what we're here for. And so In Search of Darkness and In Search of Tomorrow have been huge successes for us. And the In Search of kind of format that will carry on. We're actually in production right now for In Search of Darkness 90 to 94,
yeah,
which is going really well. David Weiner, our director, is smashing it, and it's so much fun seeing it come together. But in 2021, I was on a plane from London to LA for the premiere of In Search of Tomorrow, which is our 80s sci-fi documentary in premiere in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I was on the plane and I was thinking about how we're known for tackling these big eras and these big documentaries that have tons and tons of films on them, but we don't get to spend a long time on one film. It's like skip a film, right?
Right.
Well, what I wanted to do is develop a documentary format that I could use to really go deep into a single movie, but do it from the fans' perspective, not just do a making of that. They're great, and there's some great making ofs out there, but that doesn't excite me. I want to do something that is a manifestation of fandom. I want to come up with a concept where I can bring a whole community of fans of a movie along the journey. The first project we decided to do using this new expanded format was Aliens.
Oh, what a great movie.
Because everyone's like, what a great movie.
It's so good.
It's a perfect film. And it has this complexity and depth that works with the expanded format. I've got to say, that's probably one of the best executed projects we'd ever done. Aliens Expanded. And the process we went to, which is relevant to this conversation now, is at the beginning, we went out to the fan base. We went out to all the people that ran all the big fan groups, all of that kind of stuff, and got them on board. Then we put together a synopsis that we had peer reviewed by thousands of Aliens fans, and then went took it back to the drawing board, came back with it amended, and then we took it to a pre-sale campaign in September 2022, and the film now comes out in May this year.
Oh man,
And
yes.
just before Christmas, we sent out to 200 of our backers 5-hour rough cut,
Oh, man.
right? And it came back. That's a very nervous thing for us to
Oh
do
yeah,
because your baby isn't born yet. It's
that's right.
still, it's
That's
not all
right.
polished. The sound mix isn't there. The motion graphics isn't there.
Yeah.
But it came back with some of our highest sort of ratings for that period in the film's development. And I can show you something which will explain what the expanded format is. If I share my screen, um,
Okay. Here we go.
so let me just see if I can just get to the good bit here. Um, well, these are just chapter transitions.
Hmm.
Um, so the way the expanded format works is if you can imagine you've got the film on a timeline, but it's in 3 dimensions,
Oh my
and you've got this
goodness! Look at
virtual
this.
camera kind of going in and unpacking scenes. And when we start an expanded film, we start at the beginning of the film and we finish the documentary at the end of the documentary.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so there's more stuff going on here, but like you can see, so that's what makes it expanded. So we'll go into each of the
Burke.
major scenes and
Yeah.
like so yeah, so there's tons I could show. I'm probably not supposed to show it now. But
That's amazing. Yeah.
so it's taking that's what an expanded is. So if you can imagine the thing on your
Yeah.
timeline, but it's 3 dimensional, and we used the narrative of the film and the chronology of the film as our narrative and chronology. So we start the first scene, we finish the documentary on the final scene, and we go
Okay.
off on tangents. So
Yeah.
what's really exciting about the thing, it's a very different movie to Aliens.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about the thing is the fact that the fan base has projected so much onto it. So you've got a myriad of fan theories that we want to explore as many as we can. We want to bring the greatest experts on that movie together.
Yeah.
As many of the former cast and crew that are still around that we can get hold of.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to get Quentin Tarantino for this.
Mm.
My white whale on this
Yeah.
project is Rob Bottin. I keep saying I'm going to make him an offer he can't
Right.
refuse.
Right.
Like, but I'm serious, and and
Oh,
and
you should
and
be. Yeah.
and I just want to create something where us as fans of that movie have this go on this sort of year and a half long experience where we're getting together regularly, having Q&As with cast and crew, having Q&As with expert, really create an indulgent entertainment experience. And at the end of it, we'll have this documentary which we can hold, which we're part of, which has our name in it. And I want the fan base to cherish it. And I know if we've done a good job or not based on this one thing, right? Which is if you go and watch the thing expanded, the first thing you want to do is rewatch the thing.
Mm.
Done our job
There you
right.
go.
And when you rewatch the thing, it's like you're seeing it with new eyes. You're seeing it in a new way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to this, but I've got a theory. There's a kind of saying that says the same man never steps in the same river twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of apply that to movies. So I first watched The Thing when I was 6 years old, right? And it blew my mind. And I
Yeah.
still remember seeing certain scenes in that film that had
Sure.
a huge impact on me. And I recently watched it again at the age of 46 in the cinema, and I saw it in a completely different way,
Oh wow.
in a different way to when I was
Yeah.
26,
Yeah.
And
No, it makes
so
perfect sense. Yep.
great art grows with you. And
Yes.
the thing is one of these movies, a bit like Aliens, that every time you go and revisit it, you find something new.
I feel that way about Halloween.
Yeah.
I watch it once a year on Halloween, right? And I feel like every time it gets better every time I see it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great art will do that. And uh, you know, that's why it makes so much sense for this expanded format. And right now, like, this conversation today is something that I haven't done before. We don't have a synopsis. I've got a very clear vision of what I want to create, right? But our job as creative EC is to manifest the fandom. We want to create something which is a manifestation of how your relationship with this movie. And in order to do that, we need to listen to the fans. So that's why I'm doing this sort of podcast tour, where we've got a survey. You filled out the survey. It's a very simple survey,
Mm-hmm.
but we're already starting to see patterns about
Okay.
what people want to see in this documentary, and that's what we're going to deliver to.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, Aliens Expanded. I can't wait to watch that. I think I've definitely maybe backed one of these programs for one of the '90s or one of the '80s ones, I guess. Yeah, those are so good. And then I remember, I think the vote all came back that the favorite film of the '90s was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Did I see that? I think that was like the
Oh, I
favorite.
can't remember. We're actually, funnily enough, the time of this recording, which is the 9th of February, which is a Friday, on Sunday, at 8 p.m. UK time, we're doing a watch party for Bram
Mm.
Stoker's Dracula.
Oh God, I love it.
But- So it's interesting. So for In Search of Darkness 1994, we surveyed our backer base and used that to kind of say what's the most popular early 90s movie. This
Yeah.
is what's crazy. I was really nervous because In Search of Darkness 80s was a slam dunk. It was like a
Oh,
huge success,
it's
right?
incredible.
And I was so nervous going from 80s, which is it's the most iconic decade for horror, right? That's why we started there. But you move to the early 90s and things get murky,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Because it doesn't have a definable. Late 90s is 90s, but early 90s is kind of this middle ground, this no man's land between
Right.
the strength of this 80s aesthetic and it evolving into something new that it doesn't know what it is yet. And CGI hasn't quite hit. And horrors are being relabeled as thrillers, and it's sort of going on this sort of dip in terms of the popularity of horror in the early 90s. So I was really nervous about that, and it ended up being one of our best campaigns. I learned a
Okay.
lot from that.
Oh
But
wow.
I would never claim Bram Stoker's Dracula is the best early 90s horror movie.
I think it was like the most like it got the most votes or something.
It
I
got
think
the
I
It is
read or
the high,
yeah,
probably the highest
something like
voted.
that.
It's
Something like that.
interesting. So when you talk about great horror movies, like I always shy away from saying, "Oh, this is the best horror movie."
Oh yeah. I
But
can never answer that. People ask me. I don't know.
yeah, but like you've got to say The Thing is on the Mount Rushmore of horror
I
movies.
mean, it is. So you know what? That's a great question, right? So obviously we love the movie. I know you did Aliens. There's so many out there. What was it? Was there one particular just reason to do the thing for this among others, or was it?
I mean, there's a whole multitude of reasons, right? The you've got your head and you've got your heart, all right? So when we do these projects, they're really difficult, and you're starting from nothing. You've got to get the funding, and then you've got to make it, and then you've got to get it out. Like it's just a lot of work. And what's really important from the documentary format perspective is you need to work with a film that can give you material.
Yeah.
And The Thing, having rewatched it 3 weeks ago at a top cinema in London on a Saturday night at a packed screening.
That's pretty cool to see. I never saw it in the theater. That's that's
Oh,
that's pretty
it's a
wild.
totally different
Yeah.
experience. I'll talk about that in a second, but having
Yeah.
seen it again, it just reminded me there's no fat on that film. Like it doesn't, it feels like it could come out today.
Yeah.
The pacing. But why it fits with the expanded format is it's two reasons, two big reasons. One, it's the truth in that film. So it's from the opening shot in the Arctic, you're in the reality of the movie. And nothing feels like a performance. The performances are so strong, they feel like actuality. And the pacing's so well paced that you follow along. You feel like you're experiencing the characters' experiences in real time, even if you've seen it a million times. That's rare. The other thing is that it has this, um, on some levels, it's a very simple movie. On other levels, it's hugely complex. And then the final thing for me, which made it the perfect fit, is that it's had like 30 years of fan projection onto it. From the beginning of the internet, people were talking about The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
it took it 15 years to find its audience.
Yeah, it did. That's a good
And
point.
and so it's the energy around the thing is what makes it a fit because when something crosses a chasm, like if you're a filmmaker and you make a film, it's your film. Once you make it, it goes out and it becomes part of pop culture. It becomes part of the zeitgeist.
Crazy, right?
And it's not yours anymore. It belongs
Yes.
to all of
Yeah, that's
us.
right. That's
The
right.
collective
That's right.
consciousness around this movie. And you can
Yeah.
see it in a lot, great art will inspire, will have a trickle down effect with other great art because great artists steal, right? So
Yeah.
right now we're
Sincerest
watching,
form of flattery, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right now we're watching True Detective, the new series,
Okay.
and there's so many. I mean, I think it goes past homage. I think it's a bit too blatant at times. It's pulled me out of the show, but it's there's so many references to the thing, but there's so many other movies and not just movies, games that reference the thing, and that's something we definitely want to look at and explore in the film. But that's why it was a perfect candidate. And also as a business, we're doubling down on horror because the relationship between horror fans and horror movies is, I think, pretty unique.
Oh,
Uh,
I couldn't agree more.
and the demand for getting more out of that experience is insatiable.
Yeah. Yes. There are documentaries. Man, Rob Zombie's Halloween that he made a 4 hour making of. It's on like a special edition disc. I love it. Pet Cemetery has a great one. It had a great one for Pennywise. These things I could watch them for over and over and over and over. Right? That's what you mean. Yeah. It is almost insatiable. Like, give me 6, 7 hours of something, and I will watch it over and over and over again for every movie, for all of them. It doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah, it's
right?
interesting. Sometimes, like you can take a movie that might be a very simple movie, right? And and on the surface had doesn't have a lot of depth or complexity to it. But the reverence that the fans have for that film creates this complexity. It creates this sort of weight,
Yeah.
this gravity to the movie. And I love that. And it's totally subjective. And it's sort of I learned so much with In Search of Darkness. And there's so much we've done over, we're in our fourth installment now, but there's so much iteration that's happened with how we put those projects together, how we incorporate the fans and the backers into the process, that we want to apply that now to the thing. And having had this amazing experience with Aliens Expanded, which comes out in May, and I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, I can't wait
Right?
to see it. Yeah.
I'm so excited about the thing expanded because I want to build on that. I want the thing expanded to be the best thing we've ever done. It's interesting because right now it's embryonic. We don't even have a synopsis.
Yeah.
Our mission is to try and get people to sign up to the survey and follow us. So we're listening, but in a couple of months we're going to come back to you with a synopsis, which we want you to peer review. We want you to be constructively, critical, because ultimately that synopsis will be the roadmap for what we go and do. And we're earmarking July this year for the first pre-sale campaign, and if that happens, then we'll be looking to release the thing expanded at the end of 2025.
So that's a good point too. Yeah, a date when you want to do that. So this is very much driven about role of fan engagement and community feedback and things like that. So talk more about how much that will weigh, and do you need a certain number of responses?
Yeah, I mean,
Are you looking to one direction or the other? When do you think you'll have enough to say, oh, I've seen enough from fans, and now we know where we're going to go with this, right?
you can never see enough from fans, but I
Right.
can tell you, like when I did In Search of Darkness, I'll give you a story. I started working on that. It was July 14th, 2018. I was writing in a Moleskine book like this,
There you go.
and I came up with the title, and I was doing a Venn diagram and listing who I wanted in it. That was July 2018. Fast forward to October 2019. I'm in Hollywood, 600-person theater at the Egyptian Theatre in Hollywood for a premiere. There was a queue around the block to get in.
Mm.
And I'm on stage with like Barbara Crampton and Brian Usner,
Oh wow.
Mick Garris, like luminaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's the power of manifestation, and that's the power of tapping into the signal.
Absolutely.
So, to answer your question, I knew really early on within Search of Darkness that I was onto something. Because people were emailing me, people, important people,
Oh yeah.
and that changed my life, and it changed the life of my team. I'm getting those same signals now. Really relevant, important people have been emailing me about it. I put out a post on our social media just saying, listen, if you're a podcaster and you want to chat about this project, if you're interested in it, hit me up.
Yeah.
Been booked on 20 podcasts, and um, it's like the bat signal.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
about us or what we're doing at all.
Yeah.
It's the thing, right? So as soon as you start talking about the thing, it just changes the tone of the conversation. And what I'm noticing is I have not had a bad conversation about this movie so far. And like there's something I've got a pet theory that I'm forming about the thing, and I feel like it's an underdog movie because it came out, it didn't hit its mark, it disappeared, it was rediscovered.
Yeah, talk that's one to talk about that because yeah, this movie was not met with a lot of fame. This was not so many movies aren't, right? I mean, that's fine, but yeah, this didn't really do well. I think Carpenter was very upset. I mean, because and
Derailed.
now look at it. It's yeah, it's revered as an absolute classic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's an element of underdog in all of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's the story of the thing, and there's a story in the thing, but then there's a story about the thing, which is this movie that was an underdog movie that didn't perform, that was rediscovered, and just through time has become one of the most revered movies in the genre, right?
Yeah.
For all the right reasons.
Yeah.
And it's very relatable, about how we accomplish things and challenges we take on board. We did a long interview with John Carpenter about the thing for In Search of Darkness, and the
That's
sense I got was that he has a very bittersweet relationship. It's very painful. Effectively threw him out of Hollywood, that
yeah.
movie.
How about
And
that?
and um it's easy for us to put John Carpenter on a pedestal and say, wow, one of the greatest living directors, and the thing is one of the greatest movies, right? But I don't think he thinks that because of the trauma probably he went through.
Yeah,
He's
it's
taken off Firestar. I mean, like, and I think there's a kind of story there. So when I speak to other fans of the thing, the first thing I'm noticing is everyone's super cool. Like, it's like if I saw you walk down the road and you had a Thing t-shirt on,
yeah, right.
I know you and me would be cool.
All
Like
right.
that, it just has that thing. It's interesting seeing the demographics coming through the survey. So we hit 500 survey responses a couple of days ago, which is actually really good because we've got 80 something thousand backers at
Mm.
Creative VC.
Yep.
We have not emailed them about this project because we've got other projects coming out before it. So we don't want to overload our audience. So this is my side hustle at the moment. I've just set up, I'm doing the social media myself. I'm having like
Yeah.
one-to-one conversations, right? And it's kind of on the down low. But 500 survey responses is really good,
Oh
right? For
yeah.
where we are. And the demographics are really interesting. So I can talk you through some of the demographics. So
Love
right
to hear it.
now,
Yeah.
by the way, if you're not a man and you love the thing, please fill out the survey because right now it's 86% men.
I would guess. Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting, the age range, I think it's a generational thing because the age range
Yeah.
is 36 and older.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
I think that
75%.
makes sense. Well,
Yeah.
because you've also got a remake or a prequel or whatever the heck it was. Like, I never saw that, quite frankly. So maybe that's to another audience. But anyway, yeah.
I was just talking about it. I like the prequel
Okay,
because
was it good?
um I like the game and I can't play the game. Like I like anything to do with this. I feel that one of the things I want to do is I want it to be the director of the prequel because the prequel, his movie was taken away from him. And
Hmm.
I genuinely believe he went into that process with the best of intentions,
Yeah.
wanting to honor a movie that he really cared about,
Right.
right? And they did a switcheroo with practical effects and did CGI. But there's, I think that if you can look past the comparison with Carpenter's The Thing, of course, it doesn't come anywhere near to what that
Yeah.
is. and you just see it. There's good parts of it. There's some good performances, some good actors. Um, but what I love about it is it links straight into the film,
Okay. Yeah.
and then the computer game comes at the end.
Yeah.
You have this sort of kind of weird, and I don't know if the computer game's canon or not, but certainly we want to explore the computer game. But it's the film has taken on a reality outside of itself. I was just talking to a lady who just can't stop herself buying merchandise for the thing. And what it is, it's a way of deepening the relationship you have with a movie that you
Yeah.
really like, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what our projects are. They're a
That's right.
way to deepen the relationship. And our whole thing at Creative EC is about trying to create intimacy between us, the work we're exploring, and you, our backers, you know?
Yep.
And that kind of trifecta, that's where the magic happens. And I feel like with the thing expanded, we've got the perfect movie to do it with. And I'm getting excited because I love this audience.
Good. I was watching Terminator 2 the other day, and I saw, this X amount of, 30 years old, whatever, and the effects are still, like, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about The Thing and those effects that were groundbreaking? This is a 40-year-old movie. Do they still hold up for you? What do you think? Yeah?
I think some of them really do,
Yeah.
right? I can actually speak on this with some authority, having seen it 3 weeks ago in a top cinema in London, huge
Yeah.
screen, 4K, packed
Wow.
Saturday night. There were people in the screening that had never seen it before,
Wow.
and they were watching it for the first time, and
That's
they were
fun to see that.
reacting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is a British audience. The British people are very sort of, we don't show emotion.
All
So,
right. Right.
but like, and you can, I was like, wow, this film still has so much power.
Yeah.
And of
Isn't
course,
that
you
great?
can, you can critique the effects. I think that when you get later on into the movie and you start to see a few things that inevitably some elements have dated, but the way they approached the standout scenes with a kind of awareness. It's a bit like Jaws, where they go, "We're not going to show too much."
Ah.
They
Yeah. Yeah.
show a lot. They show a lot. That's visceral.
Yeah.
But they were smart in that sense. Now, um, I don't dislike CGI. I dislike CGI where I know what I'm seeing is CGI because it instantly takes myself out of the film.
Hmm.
But I never feel taken out of the film with the thing, and I think that's why that movie. One of the reasons why it's so special because it's very hard to find a weak point. The performances are world class, and it has that feeling of real truth. The pacing doesn't have any fat on it, it doesn't waste time.
Right.
And it's funny because I was watching that film in the cinema, knowing that I'm doing this project. So I'm sitting there
Yeah.
thinking, all right, don't enjoy it too much. Like, let's just be a bit
Right.
critical. But as soon as you're in the Antarctic and the beginning of that scene, you're in the movie. You're in the movie again, and I couldn't be critical because I was a passenger. And what's amazing is that you've had sort of 30 years of fandom project onto this. So there's this whole kind of energy that's attached to the gravity of this movie that we want to explore from the perspective of being fans. And I think that the thing expanded, it needs to be like a thing nerd's fever dream. Like we want,
Yeah.
you know, dissect it,
All right.
understand more clearly why it's brilliant, remind ourselves why it's brilliant, and like I said, when you finish the thing expanded, I want you to watch the thing again, but see
Right.
see it in a brand new way.
So that's a good question because I was going to ask you, yeah, when someone's done watching it, once this is done in 2025, you're ready, and it ends and the credits roll and everyone sees their name if they back it, whatever. Yeah, do you want that person to get up and like want to cheer? Do you want them to go watch the thing? Like, what is if you could do one thing out of it? What would you want that person? What would you want us to get out of it, the audience? What do you want us to say? Like, oh my god, that was incredible. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God, that was incredible. That'll
Yeah.
do. The other things, I want you to cherish the experience. So I want it to be when we eventually ship out the merchandise, I want you to never let go of it. I want it to be something that, when you sell your Blu-ray collection, if you ever do, you'll keep this one because you're part of it.
Right.
I want the relationship that you have between your involvement in this project to be unlike anything else you have with any other movie. I want it to be unique. In my business, you can't please all of the people all of the time,
Right.
but our track record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And the people that, my job now is to almost be even more polarizing.
Mm.
So if this idea doesn't speak to you, then you're the wrong fit. But if it does speak to you, we want to deliver an experience that you can't get anywhere else. And this isn't just about watching the movie. This is about the build up. This is about all the extra activities. This is about uniting this energy that the fandom has, and focusing it with purpose to deliver something which wouldn't exist without it, which is an extension of that movie. And it's the bridge between that film and us as fans. And that's what I think that at its highest ideal, that's what I want this project to be.
All right. What's your favorite scene in that film? What's the part you can hit rewind and watch
You know
over and
what,
over
right?
again?
It's funny because every morning at the moment, I'm going through the movie, screen capturing
Right.
bits to post up on social media. And there's actually, and I need to post this, but my favorite scene at the moment, I'm going to exclude all the ones we all know about, okay? But there is a montage of shots that just show like emptiness in the right. It lasts for about 5 seconds, no, 5 to 10 seconds. And it just slows the movie down, and it's just a bit of a directorial flourish
Mm-hmm.
and a palate cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so smart that it's there. And I was watching the thing again, and when that came up, I was like, yeah, there's levels, right? That doesn't push the plot on. It just slows things down. And it's a kind of example of Carpenter's brilliance. That's a directorial intervention.
You know what, that's good. I mean, there's a couple things I think about with Carpenter, of course, is, I love in Halloween when they're sitting there watching, the movie when they're babysitting, and what are they watching? They're watching The Thing, right? I love that. And I think the kind of part you're talking about is at the end of Halloween 2, where after it's all over, there's that montage scene of the front door of the house, the couch, the stairs, and it's just these shots, and you hear Michael Myers breathing, and it's like, whoa, and then the movie ends, and you're just like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. So I mean, look, John Carpenter is the best, right? So I think that's really, really cool. I was going to ask you one thing before we finish is, so, physical media, there's a lot of people that still are really into Blu-rays and physical. Do you want this to be something that is like a cherished, like,
Yeah,
yeah, you want to have a disc, like the steel case and all that, and you
not
want that to be a
necessarily
part of it?
case, but if I show you the
Mm-hmm.
box set for this,
Right.
each of these Blu-rays has a thick booklet in it
Yeah.
with watch list and notes and all sorts.
All that.
We're
Right.
gonna go to town on the merchandise for this one. We want to create something that everyone's going to cherish. We're getting
Yeah.
better at that. And as at the time of speaking to you, I don't even have a logo.
Right.
Right. This is like,
Not yet.
but the way to think about it is if you love something, you want to hold it. Okay. Now this isn't holding the thing, the movie, because that's the movie. This is
Mm-hmm.
holding the representation of how you feel about the film. That's the
Sure.
right way of taking it. And I want it to be as intimate as possible. I want to make this for 5 to 10,000 people. Because that's a manageable number of backers where we can really build something together.
Yeah. Fabulous. So, last thing is how people want to get involved in this, how they can stay connected. What is the best way for folks to get going on this, to get their voice heard, to stay in touch with this?
So we've kept it really simple. We've got social media channels on Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook, and Twitter X. Um, and the handle is the same for all. It's at Thing Expanded. If you go there and you go to the link in the bio, it will take you to the Google survey, which is a very simple survey.
There you go.
And we just want to learn about what you would want to see in this. And we want to learn why this film's important to you. We want to hear stories. about when you first watched this movie. Why has it affected you so much? And the good ones will anonymize, but we'll print out on our and post out on our social media.
Okay. So this is a big, cool thing. This is really, really fun. So folks out there, Robin Block, again, founder and CEO, creator of VC. The Thing expanded. It's going to be out. No, it'll happen soon. Stay put. But in the meantime, watch In Search of Darkness for... Oh, here's the one. Are you guys going to make an In Search of Darkness for 70s horror films at some point? What do you think about that idea?
We actually had chat about that. That's a whole other podcast, right? Because a lot of the people are no longer with us. You know what was really sad? We lost William Friedkin last year. And
I met him once. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, right. And I was like, because he was amazing until the end. And but the 70s... I mean, I think we'll get through the 90s. We'll do 90 to 94 now.
Right.
We will have finished the 90s by the end of 2026. So we'll have to make a decision. Do we do the 2000s or do we go to the 70s?
Yeah.
If we go to the 70s, I think that'd be amazing. And what I would want to do with the 1970s is almost like be able to give you a watch list and help you understand what is amazing about this. This period of cinema. And there's so much that people don't know about. Even like hardcore horror fans, there's so much you don't know about in the 70s. And I think how we take that, it will have to be in a slightly different way than we do the In Search of Darkness format. It'll evolve. Absolutely. And I know David Weiner, our director, would absolutely love to do the 70s.
Nice. Wonderful. So, folks, you all know where to find us, of course, Instagram, Facebook, at The Scary Movie Project. Please email us at thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. We'd love to hear more from you guys about what you all think of The Thing, because we, of course, reviewed the film before. But hope you guys enjoyed a little different episode. This is kind of something fun. Robin, thank you very much for being on. I mean, I love the stuff you guys have done so far. I'm pumped for Aliens Expanded. I can't wait for that, and this is going to be a lot of fun, too. So thank you again, and maybe we'll discuss again. But in the meantime, as they say in The Thing, watch out, keep your eyes on Clark.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
All right.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.